Welcome to another episode of Craft Conversations. I'm here today with Albertine Bethel, who is a weaver. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Where to begin? I'm a weaver, hand weaver. I love hand in shuttle. Love weaving with anything I like, and I got the bug when I was 12. My father and mother encouraged us to use our hands and craft something that would be purposeful, useful, but beautiful at the same time. They said it would come in handy, and it was all those years. So we went through all the usual things: crocheting, knitting, tatting, making garments, and eventually some of us found other ways, and I let go of the knitting really fast and all those other wonderful magical painting, watercolors, and I stuck with garment making. And then I went into weaving. I got my first loom at 12 years old. We got these Christmas gifts, 3 girls, 3 boxes, all the same, and the other 2 went, ugh, and I went, oh. And then when I got that, Father put it together, we warped together, it became an obsession, and it was a number 4 Spears Rigid Heddle Loom, and we used my sister's bedroom, and she complained a lot, and then they had to stop me because it became very obsessive. So schoolwork was left behind and the whole thing, so they had to cordon me off for a while, and we completed the project, made some more, and then that was it. Life took over, we moved, and education, but it never left me, and then I picked it up a couple of times, made a couple of other things. Never been afraid to use any kind of fibers, because the first fiber I used was plastic acrylic. It was the only one a neighbor could give us, and I still have it. You warp it up on this wonderful little square thing. You weave from here to here. Yeah. It's a wonderful thing because it takes a lot of cloth. You can weave up to 6. I've woven 9 feet on it. The only thing is these have to be worked. They sometimes strip themselves, but I got a tool from the Embroidery Guild, which I joined, and I thought, who knew I could get weaver's tools from here. And this was the first one. We clamped it to my sister's bedhead there. It's true plastic acrylic from the 1950s. It was the way the tartan weaved up. And that's the little pattern book they gave me, and since then I used that pattern book to make my jacket and a couple of other things. So eventually I moved to Newfoundland and took my rigid heddle loom with me. I needed a jacket. Chain store in Clarenville was the only place that sold products. Of course it was all acrylic. I regret giving my little jacket away. I loved it. I outgrew the jacket. It didn't fluff size with me, the oversized. Then after that, it got put away again through life. Moved here into St. John's for a lot of purposes, mainly because of physical challenges. And it moved with me, and therefore I made a whole bunch of other stuff on it until I got Rita Skeeta. Rita, looms find me. Vintage looms find me. It's a curse as well as how cool that is, because I can work it up as to how I need to. And the patterns you can make are really neat. My friend said if you want to make more patterns with borders and stuff, you're going to have to get more shafts. These are shafts. This is 4 and hundreds of things. Your imagination. It's like maths. 5 numbers can make 1,000 numbers, right? The combinations are endless. But she said if you want to do that intricate stuff, so you can always do borders without having to heavy duty thing, you need 6 shafts or more. I said, no, the 8 shafts are way too complicated. What do I need them for? And you know, that little bird inside me, I think she's right. This makes your pattern. This is your cloth warp, which holds it together, and then you've got your skeins on a shuttle that give you different textures. But depending on your dye, depending on what color you use, the values will change when you make a pattern weaving. And what looks really bright to you, say, God, that's beautiful. When you put it on a loom, it's not so bright. And Rita is a Scandinavian loom from Finland. They don't make them anymore. I put it together, I loved it, and it's the greatest workhorse in the world, and it's a traveling folding loom too. The next one I got, somebody said, hey, do you want interested in a whatever? And I said, okay, what does it look like? And then this little monster. It's made of heavy birch, and it's Metier Clement, which was the other side of the Leclerc company way back when, and they had a little bit of a falling out over patents, etc. And Clement said, well, whatever. And he stopped making them, which is a sin because they really are great looms. They balance well. I can do anything in this loom. Like I say, it's a rehabilitation loom. It's lovely. Anybody can use it. I like it because it's so ergonomic. It's the easiest loom to press up on a jack I've ever had in my life. The stick is here, so you can just and bring it forward. The brake pedal, to release it, to bring it forward, I got to get out. Which means that if I'm on a chair, I just have to swing my leg this way and then stand in front of it, press that, and then crank her this way. And it brings everything forward, rolls it that way. So you have a cloth that's being finished, and you have threads on a warp that's ready to go and get all excited about making cloth. So that's basically ergonomics. You have to make sure your bench is fit for you. So here we are on our wonderful big loom. This is the lightest shuttle I have. Fly shuttles are automatic, and there's a big thing and then a little pole, so I press down and I go chukung, it sends it, and then I do this. So if I don't have power here, I can go to another loom and get something else. Like the odds are you'll find something to help you physically enjoy your weaving. Right now she's a bit heavy. Okay. So you come out here, you make sure it's there. And then I press. Wow. There. This is a very heavy thing, but you can move it with your finger, and it's balanced so well. You can make light things on it, but this is my rug and blanket loom. And then my recent one is that one over there, which is the table loom. I'm looking towards the future when I can't lose my legs. So
Weaving and ergonomics, and I think this is something that's come up as we were chatting earlier, as we're chatting now. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
oh boy. You know when you're all healthy and well and then something crops up and you say, oh, well that's okay, I can get around that. But when you have to do other things and you want to do other things and your mind says you're good, but your body is not, then your ability becomes a disability. And then you have to find ways around it. So one of my ways around it was when I had hip replacement, leg replacement, and I recently had a TIA, so it's like when you get to 65, things do fall apart. It's like the warranty runs out. It says, okay, now you start paying into this warranty now. When I was recuperating from all these things, I have a little rigid heddle loom, an Ashford, which I had to get when I became physically inept for a while. And it was great. Linda, who sold me the loom, she's an Ashford dealer up in Chapel's Cove. It's portable. I can take it in, take it outside. When I'm warping, which is to say all those 1,000 threads have to be put on so that you can weave the other threads so it looks pretty like your clothing, I needed help for a while. So I would hold the string, put it in, and then I'd ask my sister to run a line to a peg and back again. She got good exercise. Yeah. After that, I was good to go. Yeah. If I lose my legs entirely, I bought the table loom. So I can use hands, but again, it's easy to warp. I don't have to use legs. So I use up all my time doing a lot of studying, looking around, and I'm always drawn to Scandinavia because of the wonderful colors and patterns. And this is a 6 treadle loom, so it makes patterns like these. Yeah. And I'm always drawn to Rosengang, which is rose path, we call it here, and the Tico's. And this was an experimentation with color and whatever, twills. This is, again, a Scandinavian kind of thing I'm doing there. The patterns are just unbelievably wonderful, and there's no end to it because there's no real, it must be this way. So I do the traditional ones. I know how to do a twill and a Bronson lace and stuff, but I always go back to the rose path and the goose eyes and stuff like that.
Where are you pulling a lot of your inspirations from in the world?
European countries, yeah. I'm self-taught at first. I read all the books, and then when I came here, the sky was the limit. I found some mentors. I visualized a lot, and then when the net came up, I Googled and these Scandinavian things came up, and I thought, oh, can't I do that? It struck me that my English heritage and having spent time in there, and using a lot of their products, it just called to me, and I tend to go there more than anywhere else. I use Briggs & Little because I like to use Canadian and I like to keep it small footprint. So eco is on my mind, you know, tread carefully on this earth. And dealers here in our area deal with Briggs & Little quite a lot. There's not a store that doesn't sell it really. So that keeps up my local. And the other one is Chapel's Cove, Baynoddy. And she has a wonderful way of doing her dyes. They have brilliant pigments in them.
They're beautiful.
They're gorgeous. So in this wonderful blanket I'm using, I've got this, which I picked up the other day and I couldn't resist it. And it goes well with another one that I picked up, some of the greens here and all of it. So Alana, she is the, like Susan Furneaux and a few others that started with the guilds very early on in Newfoundland and Labrador and actually had a guild. A lot of them were totally hand weavers, but I think she's the only one left besides M-Sams that is from hoof to shawl. So she has her sheep, she shears her sheep, and the other day she was in the midst of scoring the wool and dyeing it. Then she spins it, and this is what she spins. And she comes. So I locally, and the stores around here who sell beautiful products, and there's lots of spinners and weavers that sell all these really cool stuff. And there's one that's just learning, and I don't have it here. It's a little ball. She's up at same again, and she's spinning with merino. She taught herself to spin. So anyone out there can be a weaver and a spinner, and it's wonderful stuff, a craft that you can gain lots of secondhand stuff for. I like any kind of material if it makes something durable and it's fun to use and it's colorful and people like it, like acrylic. You know, it's hard to get since COVID. They're not making the same things anymore, and more plastic-keen things are going into the acrylics. If you get a good acrylic, it can last years and it will really wear nicely. So that black scarf behind there, that's acrylic. 50%, and I think it's 30% the washed wool. So it's not real wool, and the rest is soft acrylic. But it's a really nice one. It's a sock yarn, and it doesn't stretch. But again, you can wear it because you're not going to be allergic to it. And my sister's worn one for 10 years.
What's this one here?
That's pure wool. I get it from through Wool Trends, and it's Cascades. And Cascades has a Peruvian wool, 100%, but there's lots of merino in it. I also educate myself, so when I get wool, I also like to know where it came from and what's in it, so I don't buy just any kind of stuff. That's another one I made on my spaced one. That was wool that was vintage from the Red Cross from the 1950s. From England, tapestry wool, and I did it and crossed over with Briggs & Little Sport, and then I felted it. And these are English locks from the sheep in England.
How does the felting, like when you have the looser pieces?
So when you have it on the loom, it's a bit bigger than this.
Yeah.
So you swoop it on the loom, and then you space it. So then you roll it forward and you leave a big space, and a big space. But these ones here, you put them in a little closer than normal, and then when the whole scarf is finished, you put it in the wash. I rolled it up in a towel, and then I put it in a wash and pushed it around in my washer, and then I took it out, and then I re-rolled it the opposite way. And as soon as I knew that it was felting the way I liked it. Felting means you're going to agitate it. Yeah. I wash that's English wool, and when I wash it, you get this what's called fulling. It expands and makes it all fluffy. I put this in hand wash, warm water, soap, real soap, and then I do this, and it starts doing this. Well, I go through the room, and a lot of times when I'm doing ideas, I make idea baskets. And then I take a ball and I stick it on a table somewhere, and then when I'm walking by, I take another one. My sister came in, and she has a really unique way of looking at colors, and I just stuck that there. It's a Cascades. It's beautiful. I like Heather's. She came by, and instead of doing this, which normally I was looking at because I'm a dud, she picked it up and did this. And there, see?
Sometimes I've heard a lot from people who are interested in weaving, but say like, you know, the startup costs of it are, or you know, getting that first loom and getting everything set up is a big barrier for them. But kind of getting started on weaving, is it something that's really hard to get into just to get all the pieces that you need to try, or like what are your thoughts?
I kind of developed or evolved into it. So I had that, and then something said, you know, make an expenditure, you need to do more. So I look for secondhand looms. There's always things on the Facebook and Spinners and Weavers. You can ask a local weaver. Jessica down at the book company is really good at that, or anybody. So my advice is to get one first. If you've never weaved before, a rigid heddle is a wonderful thing. If you're pretty sure in your bones that you're going to like this, go to a friend's house or do a course and then try a floor loom or a table loom. So there's tons of looms now that you can have. There's table looms that if you don't have leg power, you have arm power. If you don't have arm power, you have leg power, but you can have flying shuttles where you just pull the handle and you don't have to do this through the things. There's mechanical looms, there's data looms if you're a computer tech. There's all kinds, but the one thing is, try it first. Try it first because it is an expensive habit and long hard labor, because if you're not doing this, you're not getting this. So you can buy these things and make more fun for yourself. But if you just want to relax, which was how I started, and it just developed from there, try a table loom with 4 shafts, or you can try a rigid heddle loom that comes on a stand. There's tons of sizes. And Shot, Leclerc, there's C-Spun in Carboneer. They also sell small rigid heddles. Or better yet, just go to a friend's house, try it. Or if you know someone who is a spinner or a weaver, either or a weaver, ask them whether you could try it a couple of times. We used to give demos at a lot of the farmers markets and the big sales, but they don't do that anymore because it's just time consuming for the people who organize it. And COVID sort of shut that down and it hasn't revived again. But yes, try it first. And then if you need to buy something to try, look for second hand. There's always a weaver that wants to get rid of one of those, or buy it. Go to your local dealer or look online. Beware though, what looks like the picture doesn't always come. When I bought that and then actually showed up to get it, I had to weld, thank God for the two welders things. I had to weld one of the harnesses back together again, which was no big deal. You can do that, but buyer beware, you know. So try it first. Yeah, go ahead. Also, if you don't want to do this, but you want to do this, and tapestry, which is the mat over there, you can get just looms that are like this, and you travel with them if you have to go anywhere. And you just like fooling around with colors. Tapestry weaving is another option for you besides the heddle weaving. Other than that, that's why I became a weaver. The fascination of making purposeful things, but beautiful things. And I love the touch of them. I can't stop touching when I'm in here. And how it looks, no matter what you do, even if it's on a simple rigid heddle loom, the way you make the colors up and the way you look at things, it's magical. So that's what struck me when I was 12 with the Spears loom. Every time I went like this, it was a different thing. Every time, and it became obsessive, and I think that's why people do what they do, like knitters and anyone. This obsessiveness of, gosh, if I just put that in, it turns into something else. Oh my God! So that's why I became a weaver.